All right, let me read this text to you. Luke 17, verses 11 through 19. And I'm going to read it from the old King James Version. And it came to pass as he went to Jerusalem that he passed through the midst of Samaria and Galilee. And as he entered into a certain village, there met him 10 men that were lepers, which stood afar off. And they lifted up their voices and said, Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. And when he saw them, he said unto them, Go, show yourselves unto the priests. And it came to pass that as they went, they were cleansed. And one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back and with a loud voice glorified God, and fell down on his face at his feet, giving thanks, and he was a Samaritan. And Jesus answering said, Were there not 10 cleansed? But where are the 9? They are not found that return to give glory to God, save this stranger who is a Samaritan. Jesus said unto him, Arise, go thy way. Thy faith has made thee whole. Our second sermon in our empowerment series for October 2020 is just plainly this: gratefully faith forward. Gratefully faith forward. The text offers us the plight of 10 lepers who got a blessing after doing exactly what Jesus told them to do. But the text also records that only one of them had the decency, the respect, as well as the gratefulness to turn back and say, thank you. What we're all missing in all of our lives are people who have their heads, their hearts, and their hands that show that they are grateful for the blessings that they have received. All 10 lepers walked by faith and not by sight, but only one had the mindset to acknowledge that it was not his own doing that provided the miracle that was needed. When one is a leper, one is a castaway, a loner, a misfit in society, an outcast, ostracized, shut out, and shut aside. Verse 12 helps us to understand because it says they stood afar off. Leprosy was a separating disease. It was a disease that separated the individual from the fellowship of the people of God. And scriptures make it plain that the person outside of Jesus Christ is dead in trespasses and in sins. Leprosy is what is called a quarantine life. A leper is separated not only from the tabernacle, but they are not allowed in the congregation of the righteous. Doesn't it feel like it sometimes in Black America that we've been quarantined from the life we deserve as human beings? Quarantined from economic fairness, quarantined from basic living needs, quarantined from affordable primary health care, quarantined from the protection of those sworn to serve and protect us, quarantined from job readiness, quarantined from children having the best possible education regardless of their zip code or their orientation, quarantined from higher education that prepares us for jobs of the future and not for jobs that no longer exist, quarantined from family heritage and generational wealth, quarantined from land and home ownership, Quarantined from being able to advance in life without the cancerous effects of racism, sexism, ageism, and classism. We may not be lepers, us people of the ebony hue, but we do know what it's like to be quarantined in this life. A leper is just somebody that nobody wants because they are considered unclean, unworthy, undesirable, unwanted, unfavorable, unattractive, and often misunderstood. A leper is a person that has a skin disease that turns them from dark to light. It was a skin disorder represented as a curse. So one had to follow strict orders in order to be cleansed. It's a Lotham's disease. One could feel leprosy, one could smell it, and one could hear it, because before a leper could enter in anywhere, they had to announce, unclean, 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 unclean. I'm talking about me, I'm unclean. They smell that when the breeze of the wind caught the body odor of a leper, you could smell a leper before they even arrived, because of the effect that leprosy had on one's body, that you could smell them even before they arrived. Scholars suggest that it is doubtful that this disease, which so completely reduces the human body to wreck as the disease of leprosy. It might begin with little nodules which go to be ulcerate. The ulcers develop a foul discharge. The eyebrows fall out. The eyes become staring. The vocal cords become ulcerated, and the voice become hoarse, and the breath wheezes, and the hand and the feet are always ulcerates. Slowly, the sufferer becomes a mass of ulcerate growths. The average course of this kind of leprosy is about 9 years, and it ends in mental decay, in a coma, and ultimately in death. Leprosy might begin with the loss of all sensation in some parts of the body, which cause the nerve trunks to become affected. The muscles waste away. The tendons contract until the hands are like claws. There follows ulcerations of the hands and the feet, then becomes the progressive loss of fingers and toes until the end of a whole hand or foot just might fall off. The duration of this kind of leprosy is anything but 20 to 30 years long. It's the kind of progressive death that a man dies inch by inch. Can I put a pause and insert something here? You notice that there were never women with leprosy, only men. But the text says, as they went, they were cleansed. Let's consider a few things that most people don't understand about being a cleansed leper. Lepers were healed. We do have evidence of that. Remember, Naaman, the leper, for example, the Cyrenian, was healed of his leprosy. But there are few illustrations of healing of leprosy until the Lord shows up. Listen. There is strict orders for the process of a leper becoming ceremonially cleansed. Each one of them would have had to do the same thing. It was not a party together. Everybody had to do the same thing individually for themselves. Why? Because leprosy was not a community thing. It was an individual thing. Consider the process over in Leviticus 13 and 14. We have a very detailed list that Moses gives to ceremonially cleansing of a leper. Y'all don't mind if I work a little bit today, because I want to make sure you understand how powerful our text is today, because you need to understand the power of leprosy. According to research, ceremonies for the restoration of leper, when healed of this disease, was to give them full covenant privileges, where you comprehend in 2 distinct series. The first part of the ceremonial work took place without the camp. In other words, it took place outside of the fellowship, and sufficed only to terminate his condition as ceremonially dead, and allow of his return into the camp and his associations, through still under strict restrictions with his fellow Israelites. Now, mind you, Israelites had leprosy, but so did these Samaritans. For the ceremony, which was to be performed, he provided himself with 2 living clean birds, and with cedar wood and scarlet and hyssop. Remember, David over in Psalm says, clean me with hyssop, right? Also, he would take with him a earthen vessel filled with living water from some live spring, some flowing spring, not some dead, stagnated water like at the pool of Bethesda. And therefore, it was considered that the water was clean and pure. One of the birds was then killed with such a manner that its blood was received in the vessel of water. Then the living bird and the hyssop bound, as we were told, and the scarlet band to the cedar wood were dipped in the mingled blood and water, and by them the leper was sprinkled therewith 7 times by the priest. And then was pronounced clean when the living bird, stained with the blood of the bird that was killed, could fly away. Thereupon the leper washed his clothes and shaved off all his hair, bathed in water, and was able to enter into the camp. This also applied to the house of the leper, because not only did the leper have to go through a process of cleaning, so did his house also. Because what you carry can affect where you lay your head down. That is the first stadium of his restoration. Then the cleansed man might come into the camp. He is restored to his place as a living Israelite, and yet he may not still be able to come into the tabernacle. For even the Israelite may not come if defiled for the dead. And this is precisely the leper's standpoint and status in life. The leper is already considered dead, just waiting to die. Society has said when you have leprosy, you already have been cast away. You're already on the precipice of dying. I might get in trouble, but I got to get political here. Some people think we have leprosy because we keep doing some of the crazy stuff that does not benefit us as African Americans, or if you need to be informed, as black people. Some stuff we need to stop doing. I wish I had my crowd here this morning. Some foolishness needs to stop. Some hanging out on the corner, some drinking and smoking and hustling and robbing and always giving excuses as to why we can't get ourselves together. It could be that you have mental or emotional or psychological leprosy because you refuse to change your habits. Some stuff ought to be canceled in our lives. I know there are those of you who say, well, Pastor, you're a little bit too hard on people. Pastor, you're a little bit too rough. You ought to be a little bit more compassionate. But at what point do we decide as black people that what we was doing in 1980 should not be repeated in 2020? That's enough to make you mad. Some stuff I see that went on in 1980, we're still doing it in 2020. And I'm saying, how long, Lord? How long, Lord, are we still going to keep doing the same stuff, complaining about the same thing, and won't do anything better, but always looking for somebody else to help us get ourselves together when we won't get up off of our lazy selves and get our own selves together? I'm not mad. I'm just upset. Because I just believe that God did not save us for us to continue to repeat the same foolishness all over again. This morning I was trying to get ready for church and trying to get here, and something popped up on my phone, and it popped up on my phone, and I was reminded of some friends that I love who are going on to glory, and some they still here, but their lives are just in shambles to this day. And I was thinking about these fellas, and the fellow who was on the little video was reminding me of what happened in the past. And it troubled my spirit this morning because he reminded me of what was old has not changed in our new. And I just stopped by there to tell somebody, we got more African American people now with PhDs than we've ever had in the history of this country. We got more women who are entrepreneurs who are leading. We got more brothers who are upwardly mobile than we have ever had in the history of this country. And yet, with all of our smarts, with all of our intelligence, with all of our advancements, we still have not figured out how in the world we gonna come together to make everybody better.